You said in your comments, feel like a minority because you are straight, white, Christian, male. And you talked about diversity of ideas. What is wokeness? And is it the result of losing some grip on religious morality?
First of all, I want to say, Jamshed, seemed to me rather arbitrary. You gave the list of these groups I should be identifying with. You didn't mention that I'm Ukrainian. I have the advantage right now of being part of a victim class. My country, my people have been invaded. I feel like I should wrap myself in blue and yellow because then people will start giving me the credit for a short period of time I'm going to deserve here as a victim. Anyway, I'm just joking. As a philosopher, I look at the big scheme of things, and wokeness is just kind of the latest fad. I'm not that disturbed by it. I don't think it will be around in 5 years. It'll be something else. Wokeness is a kind of concoction, right? And one part of it is Marxist-Leninism or Marxism. When you lose sight of the supreme being, you're very, very disposed to think of morality as a system of rules by which a powerful class keeps an oppressed class in line and exploits them. Right. So that's the basic viewpoint of critical race theory, for example, or feminism before that, or you mentioned straight, the gay rights movement. They just all use this language of Marxism. They view society as divided into whatever two classes are relevant to the analysis, and women, straight, gay, black, white, and they analyze things in this way, and it's just not truthful because there's a moral law which all of us grasp and accept. Okay, so one element of wokeism is Marxist-Leninism. Another is there are many different things that are going on here, and some of them are really very deep. So one of them is a kind of response to impotence, which is manifested mainly through media. So I don't think you could have wokeism without the kind of mob mentality, which is easy to foment in social media. Wokeism is generally a kind of mob bullying. That's what it is. Right? So a lot of the mob behavior of wokeism is just expressions of the natural desire of people wanting to be able to do something. And here's something I can do. I can cancel this guy, right? That's right within my power. I can team up with these other people. We can become powerful. We can cancel him. We can ruin his career. We can make him resign from his job. Another element of wokeism is it's kind of a development of relativism. You have to think of all of these problems as stages, right? So what is relativism? Well, it manifests itself in a practical way by people being unwilling to refute someone else's. The practical opposite of relativism is something that Plato talks about in his dialogues. For example, is really, my friend, if you agree that one of the best things you can do for me is to refute me if I believe something false. There's almost no condition a human being can be in that's worse than a state of ignorance or mistaken opinion. So, please don't validate my opinion, but refute me. That's what a real friend does. We've substituted for that. It's impolite to try to refute anybody. We should find ways of validating opinions of others. In the United States, I don't know if they do this in your country, we have these absurd evaluations that are given out at the end of classes, and students evaluate the professors. So one of the questions we have on student evaluations is, does the professor validate the opinions of students? Which is kind of madness, right? Your role as an instructor is to figure out what opinions students have, which are false. And of course, just to tell them you're false is not going to do anything, right? You have to develop discussions and lead them by persuasion to arrive at the truth. So this relativism has kind of ravaged our society. What can take over in the society in which we feel that it's not friendly to say that anyone has said anything false? Well, what becomes dominant then in a society of flatterers, really, which is what it is, whether you are saying the things that somebody wants to hear. So somebody who's a woman says, I'm a man. And now that becomes a kind of challenge. Well, how friendly are you exactly, right? You're willing to validate my opinions on, the debt crisis in UK, but now I'm saying I'm a man. You think biologically I'm a woman, but if you're really friendly, you're going to agree with me, right? You have to validate that opinion. Are you going to be unfriendly and be outside of that group, or are you going to be friendly and go along with that group? So it's really redrawing the lines of society from truth to, you might want to say, what pleases people to hear, or what they publicly state, it would please them to hear, because actually they could be very, very unhappy, and 5 years later could be, very, very unhappy that they insisted on identifying as a different sex. It's what they are making a public stand in saying, whether you're going to agree with me or not. I've mentioned 3 things. I've mentioned Marxist-Leninism. I've mentioned this desire, this impotence, and I've mentioned kind of the next stage in the illness of relativism. That's a start in explaining wokeism.
But if you talk to traditional Marxist-Leninists, they would say that we only focus on distribution of resources. So according to them, it might be a bastardized version of Marxist-Leninism. It is just reading too much into it.